Well, the start of a new era for the coalition has been marked with an about-face over work from home, with the Liberal Party now fully behind it to boost productivity. Joining me on this and a whole lot more, National Senator Matt Canavan. Matt, good morning to you. So how do you feel about this change? And do you think Jane Hume was the scapegoat, bearing in mind that she wasn't the only architect of it?
Well, I'll start with the last one first. No, look, Jane's an excellent senator for Victoria. And I've already spoken to her since last week. As I've said to her, there's lots to do on the backbench, and I'm sure she'll make a wonderful contribution to our team. But look, we've already, of course, admitted that it was a mistake to seek to end work from home in the public service. Obviously, that promise was weaponised by our political opponents, but I do think this is positive because I see so many examples in regional areas of people being able to work professional jobs, different careers through work from home policies. And while it's obviously important for people in their individual lives, I also think there's a bigger benefit here from work from home in terms of taking pressure off our housing system. If we can allow more people to work professional jobs outside of our major cities, that'll allow more people to choose to live outside our major cities where the greatest housing pressures are. So look, I think it's a good thing for a big country like Australia, especially a country that needs to develop more than just its three major cities on the eastern seaboard.
Speaking of Senate movements, Matt, what are your thoughts on Dorinda Cox jumping ship from the Greens to the Labor Party?
Yeah, look, I think the Senate's turning into a bit of a political merry-go-round, unfortunately, and that tarnishes me to some degree as a senator. I just think the Australian people see this chaos and shake their head. We only had an election just a few weeks ago, although I don't believe Dorinda Cox was elected at that. But since then, we've already had two senators jump ship. I've been critical of my colleague Jacinta Price as well, doing something similar in the last term of Parliament. I think we had three different senators switch allegiances, and yeah, people actually, particularly in the Senate, elect the party. They 95% of people vote so-called above the line for a political party, not an individual. And so I just don't like this at all. I think you should be loyal to your party and most important, loyal to the voters who put you there.
Matt, there was a story that caught my eye over the weekend. Well, after the Queensland government, it's already scrapped its renewables goal, backing in coal. Now you've got the South Australian Libs. They're at war over net zero targets because the party formally rejected targets at its state council meeting on the weekend. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think things are evolving fast on this issue. Clearly, let's first put the focus on the government, who is currently trying to pursue net zero emissions by 2050, as well as 82% renewables by 2030. They've effectively put up the white flag on energy prices at the election. They had promised us that these goals, these promises, would lower power prices, infamously lower them by $275 a year in your power bills. They've said now that won't happen, that prices are going to go up instead. Well, given that shocking development, I think it's about time we review how much is this going to cost us, because we were actually told that net zero emissions wasn't going to cost us anything. It was going to actually lower electricity prices, lower energy prices, make for a more productive economy. That has turned out to be a complete and utter lie. And so before we keep going down this ruinous path, there needs to be a proper costing of how much is it going to cost to get to net zero emissions by 2050. It is almost criminally negligible that we have not provided that costing to the Australian people with such a fantastical, massive promise to change everything in our economy and in a generation. And so, look, I hope we do have this debate. It's obviously the net zero commitment's under review by both the Liberals and Nationals parties. And it's about time we have an open and honest debate about, is net zero worth the cost?
All right, Matt Canavan, we'll leave it there on a Tuesday morning. Thank you. We'll chat again soon.